Red Bull missed the opportunity to sign Oscar Piastri to its Formula 1 Young Driver program a few years ago, according to Christian Horner, who called it something that I regret. The Formula 2 winner from last year, Piastri, will make his F1 debut with McLaren the following year, after becoming involved in a recent contract dispute involving both McLaren and Alpine. Piastri progressed through the junior ranks while enrolled in Alpine's program. However, it was determined that the team lacked a legal contract with him for an F1 drive in 2023. Did you know that Piastri used to be under the wing of Horner? And do you think Piastri would have fit in at Red Bull? He could have possibly been a replacement for Pierre Gasly, who seems bound to race for Alpine next year. Let us know your thoughts about this one in the comments below. The Piastri controversy dominated F1 over the summer, with Horner previously claiming that Piastri's lack of a firm drive with Alpine indicated something not right. In the most recent episode of F1's Beyond the Grid podcast, Horner stated that while it was difficult for him to comment on Piastri's circumstances, contracts would have been impenetrable had he been under Red Bull's wing, which was an option a few years ago before he moved up to Formula 3. He drove for the Arden team in Formula 4 and Formula Renault, and was obviously a significant talent, said Horner. There was an opportunity for Red Bull to look at him at that time, and we didn't take up that option, which is something that I regret. But what he went on to achieve is phenomenal in Formula 3 and Formula 2. Now, if he'd have been a driver here, there is no way that he wouldn't have been under lock and key for a period of time. As I say, I wasn't party. It's difficult to judge what was promised or renegaded on or so on. But certainly it was unexpected, probably from several areas. Through 2017 and 2018, Piastri competed in races for Arden, the junior team Horner created, in British F4 and Formula Renault Eurocup. He eventually enrolled in Renault's program at the beginning of 2020 before capturing consecutive F3 and F2 championships. Piastri will drive alongside Lando Norris at McLaren, where the British driver has made the team his own in recent years. Daniel Ricciardo, a fellow Australian and former Red Bull driver, has fallen short of Norris during the past 2 seasons. But Horner has cautioned Piastri that his first season would be difficult. He's going to have to get in and deliver against Lando, which is no mean feat, but you either sink or swim in this business, he said. He is a very capable driver, and I'm sure he's going to do very well. Fernando Alonso's decision to switch from Alpine to Aston Martin in 2023, according to Horner, created the ripple that rolled out over numerous seats, including Red Bull's sister squad AlphaTauri. Alpine is focused on recruiting current AlphaTauri driver Pierre Gasly after losing the contract case to maintain Piastri for 2023. Red Bull will only consent to Gasly's release if it already has a replacement in mind. The FIA's refusal to give an exemption for a super license forced it to abandon its plan to recruit IndyCar driver Colton Herta, although Nick de Vries has since emerged as a contender for that position. Horner believed Red Bull's program was still in good form, even though it's not believed that any of its current junior drivers will be considered for an F1 promotion in 2023. We're continuing to invest in youth. We've got some great youngsters in the program, all the way from karting and stepping into Formula 4 now and upwards, said Horner. I think it's something Red Bull has done so well, giving these kids a chance, investing in young talent, and giving opportunities they otherwise wouldn't have had. Isaac Hajar in Formula 3 this year has had a great debut season. I think Ayumu Iwasa in Formula 2 has been a standout driver for me. They're just 2 of the guys on the program. Liam Lawson has had a tough year, but he's again another talent. Dennis Hauger has been a bit underwhelming in Formula 2 after such a dominant year in Formula 3. But again, how much of that is him and how much of it is equipment? But right now, there seems to be no shortage of quality on the grid, as Red Bull has won 12 of the 16 races so far this season. But Horner questioned whether his team was beginning a new age of dominance, similar to the one they experienced from 2010 to 2013. With Max Verstappen on track to win his 2nd consecutive Drivers' Championship, possibly as soon as Singapore next weekend, Red Bull is in a strong position to win both crowns. If we manage to pull off these back-to-back championships, which hopefully we can do with Max, and if we're able for the first time in 8 years to be the only team to beat Mercedes to the Constructors' Championship, that's an enormous feat, said Horner. Now, the quality of our competitors is such that I cannot see a period of domination like we've just endured. I'm sure the others are going to come back fighting very, very hard next year, but only time will tell. And Horner is right about that. as Mercedes and Ferrari keep updating the car. We could well be on to see a three-way fight for the title next season. But we'll have to wait until at least February next year to see if all the teams come flying out of the winter break. Now back to Piastri, as Horner isn't the only one that's cautioning the youngster. The former Formula 1 world champion Nico Rosberg believes Lando Norris, a world-class British driver, is championship material and has forecast a big challenge for Oscar Piastri against him at McLaren next season. The pace of Norris, who's only 22 years old, however, is what eventually sealed Ricciardo's destiny. As a result, Piastri, who's 21, one of the most successful and well-regarded juniors, now faces what may be a poisoned chalice versus Norris. It is going to be tough for Oscar to do well there, said Rosberg, the 2016 world champion. Lando is world class. He's world championship material there, so it's not going to be easy to go there and do better than Daniel. Ricciardo is a multiple race winner, one of the best drivers in the world, and has found it unbelievably tough against Lando. Oscar is brand new to this sport. All the indications are that Oscar really is one of those future superstars, but I can't really believe that suddenly Ricciardo has unlearned to drive super fast. Therefore, I think it's Lando who's just performing like a world champion at the moment. He's just driving so incredibly well. So I really think it'll be a big challenge for Oscar next year to be close to Lando. In 2021, with McLaren, Norris outscored Ricciardo by 45 points. And this season, he has an advantage of 88 points to 19 over his 8-time race-winning teammate. Additionally, he currently leads the qualifying head-to-head matchup 14-2. Charles Leclerc and George Russell were the last drivers to win back-to-back titles in Formula 3 and Formula 2 in 2020 and 2021, but Piastri was unable to get a ticket for 2022 after securing his back-to-back titles. It's a brave move by Oscar, it really is, said Rosberg. It is either he beats Lando or he's out basically of the sport. So it's really tough, but he believes in himself. And if you think you're that good, you've got to go for it. For Oscar, if you're a young driver and you have the opportunity to race for McLaren and you're free to do so, you have to take it. Opportunities like that don't come around all the time, so he's done everything right. Their enthusiasm to have me was very attractive, Piastri said of his switch to McLaren, which occurred after a contract recognition board determined Alpine did not have a valid contract for him for 2023. McLaren have a competitive car. Obviously, it's a tight battle between Alpine and McLaren right now, but they are a competitive team with a hell of a lot of winning history, and I think the environment is a great fit for me. The team has great plans and the future is exciting. I'm also looking forward to working and driving alongside Lando. I know it's going to be a challenge, but I feel McLaren is the right place for me to start life in F1. I'm super excited to get started. We'll have to wait and see if McLaren come out on top of Alpine in 2023. If this will be the case, then it was a good decision by Piastri. But only if he can keep up the same pace as Lando has. Otherwise, it could all be over in a couple of seasons, just like Rosberg said it could be. So Piastri will be driving in orange next season, but if the past had been different, he could have been Max's next teammate in a couple of years. But who knows? This could still happen, as the silly season keeps on getting sillier every year. What are your thoughts on Piastri? Will he be able to keep up with Norris? Let us know in the comments down below. As always, thanks for watching and we'll see you in the next video.